way short, and the Warriors again have kicked away a game. They had a 14-point lead in the second half and lose in double overtime, 145 to 144. Back-to-back home games losing by 1 point.
Gut-wrenching.
It's time for Warriors Wrap-Up. We'll bring you into the locker room and hear from Coach Kerr and the players. Highlights from the game. Warriors Wrap-Up starts now.
I'm with Tim and Tom. That was about as gut-wrenching of a defeat as an entertaining game can be, because I will tell you this, for the Saturday showcase of a game on ABC, and of course, as always here on 95.7 The Game, to be put into that type of atmosphere and to be put in that type of situation, a back-and-forth affair between two Titans, still seemingly at the peak of their powers, Stephen Curry and LeBron James. Unfortunately, the Golden State Warriors, however, and I put this out on Twitter, in a Scorsese, a Tarantino, a Coppola-esque type of finish between these two teams, ends up with the Lakers playing the villains here at Chase Center by defeating the Golden State Warriors 145 to 144 in double overtime. I mean, there is So much to unpack from this game, and I want to hear from you at 888-957-9570. This game, to me, is one in which Stephen Curry was absolutely sensational, specifically in overtime. Scores a season-high 46 points, 17 of 35 from the floor. He played 43 freaking minutes in this game. Opposite LeBron James, who's the first Los Angeles Lakers since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to go 30, 20, and 10 at age 39, mind you. He played 48 minutes tonight, scored 36 points, had 20 freaking rebounds, and also dished out 12 assists as the Lakers needed every single one of those statistics in order to take out the Golden State Warriors tonight, who unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, do fall a season-high 5 games below 500, now 19-24. They remain, of course, in 12th place in the Western Conference, and they are also now 3 games back of the Los Angeles Lakers, who sit in 10th, or pardon me, sit in 9th in the Western Conference. So the Lakers now are back above 500. The Warriors are 5 games below, and I want to know how people are feeling about this game, about this performance. And as we get this thing rolling here on Warriors Live, and again, my name is Evan Ginnings. I appreciate you tuning in. Comcast Business Text Line is open for business as well. The YouTube chat powered by First NorCal Credit Union. How are people feeling after watching what, in my opinion, might have been the greatest game I've seen live? Now, I've been to a few postseason games, but nothing quite like that. I mean, there was about 15 different times in which you thought the Warriors were either going to pull ahead, stay ahead, or they were going to lose after the Lakers come storming back with a 10-0 late flurry in the fourth quarter, finished the fourth quarter on a 13-4 run. It felt like the game was slipping away from the Warriors. They needed every last effort from not just, of course, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, who played a game-high 47 minutes for the Golden State Warriors and fouled out. Andrew Wiggins fouled out of this basketball game after I thought he played one of his best games of his season. Jonathan Kuminga, who for the first time in his career, by the way, played back-to-back 30 or more minute games. He ends up with 43, and he also nearly fouls out. Draymond Green returned to the starting lineup. He and Kuminga both inserted into the starting 5, and Draymond Green was sensational, I thought, especially on the defensive side of the floor. The Warriors tonight, in a game in which they won by 1 point, Draymond Green in 46 minutes was a plus 31. Now, I know plus-minus is not the most perfect statistic in the world, but you could see it watching this game just how much Draymond impacted it from both sides of the floor, being able to open things up. He had 11 assists, 14 defensive rebounds in this game. I know he didn't grab any offensive boards, but clearing the glass, ending possessions for the Los Angeles Lakers was of the utmost importance for Draymond tonight. I thought he also gave Anthony Davis a lot of fits, made him work for all 29 of his points in this game, as AD shot 11 of 24 from the floor. Draymond also contributed 3 steals and 2 blocks, including a stuff. Like, I thought Draymond was all over the place, and really, you know, we talk about the Warriors losing the non-Steph minutes, and that was a theme from the last few seasons. Well, tonight, if we're going to be, you know, kind of big picture here with this game, before we dig into all the little nooks and crannies and details, some of the calls in this game that I know people certainly are up in arms about, the Warriors lost this game because they lost the non-Draymond Green minutes. When Draymond wasn't on the floor tonight, they got absolutely cooked. I mean, it was like a layup line the moment that the Los Angeles Lakers saw Draymond off the floor. And Steve Kerr, I thought, kind of had been feeling this and seeing this since he came back from his suspension. I'm not saying that everything that Draymond's done this season is wiped clean because of how he played in one game, but you see the kind of impact that this guy can have without scoring a massive amount of points, without even getting a gaudy amount of numbers compared to someone like LeBron James. This dude has fingerprints all over this basketball game, and the Warriors are not in double overtime. They're not in singular overtime. They're not in this game without Draymond Green tonight. So I do want to tip my cap to him, as now he, since his return, by the way, you talked about the pressure that's going to be on him, the pressure that's on the Warriors to make Draymond Green kind of get back and you know, essentially clean up his act, right? Okay, since Draymond has come back, he's played in 4 games. In those 4 games, he is a plus 64. That is unbelievable, and that's the kind of impact that he's brought back to this basketball team. They're 2-2 in these games, but unfortunately tonight the Lakers play the Villains 145-144. They win in double overtime here in Chase Center, again in a game that I know has got to be gut-wrenching. I know it is heart-ripping, but I do think that, honestly, this was a magnificent basketball game. And it sucks that the Warriors lost. It really does, because we'd be sitting up here talking about all the positives that we could take away from this game. And I think that we still can. But at the end of the day, you lost. You're 5 games below 500. You've also lost a potential tiebreaker, a team that is still ahead of you in the Western Conference as you look at the rest of the play-in tournament beginning to unfold or take place, that 10 through 7 seed that the Warriors are trying to bang on the door and get their way into. The Warriors lost to one of those teams tonight into the Los Angeles Lakers. And you're right. It is infuriating, fans out there. It is frustrating. It's been back-to-back games now that the Warriors have lost, and there's been about a combined 2 points. They lost by 1 point to the Sacramento Kings on Thursday. They lost by 1 point here tonight to the Warriors. And I look up and down. I see progression from young players. I saw an absolutely magnificent offensive performance by Steph Curry. I saw, for the most part, I thought Klay struggled throughout this game, but he hit the most clutch shot of the night for him when he needed to. And the Warriors should have been dealt death, 3 or 4 times throughout this game after blowing at what once was a 15-point lead to the Lakers. The Lakers are now 13-6 in these type of clutch situations. These are the situations which they close teams out. The Warriors are now 15-17 in these clutch games. They've played 32 of games in which have come down to the wire, 5 points decided by in the final 5 minutes. So I want to hear from you at 888-957-9570 is the number. Let's start with D from D.C., one of our favorites here on the program. What's up, D? Evan with you here on Warriors Wrap-Up. How you doing?
What's going on, brother? What's going on? It's a painful night for me here in D.C., man. It's about almost 2 o'clock my way. No, 1 o'clock.
I was going to say, thanks for staying up. Thanks for staying up, man.
Hey, listen, man. It was a great game. It was a great game. Very entertaining. I think we had plenty of chances to win the game. Unfortunately, at the end, the final possession, when Kerr decided to roll out Kojo and Pods and Steph together, I think that really dealt us the final blow, because you cannot go against a team like the Lakers with a front court of AD and LeBron to think that you're actually gonna win playing small ball. Small ball hasn't been our thing. Let me take that back. Extra small ball or ultra small ball, which is what Kerr's doing this year. It's a total mistake that Kerr needs to definitely erase from his playbook. Get rid of Kojo. Get rid of that idea of rolling out 3-point guards on the floor together. That makes no sense. We're not going anywhere.
D, hold on. Before I ask you, I'm just curious. So you're talking about the final possession, right? The LeBron got to the rack. I'm curious, with Wiggins having fouled out, Klay having fouled out, Looney being unplayable. I didn't like how small they were either, but I'm curious who else you would have had on the floor there.
Glad you asked that question. I would have gone with TJD. We needed a big man on the floor to rebound the ball, as well as to provide what you would call pin pressure, right? Or rim pressure. That we didn't have. Having 3 guards on the floor, you didn't have any of that. At least TJD would give you the picks, the settings to set a pick for Klay or Steph to get open. I'm sorry, Klay was not on the floor. For Steph to get open or another shooter to get open. Having Kojo on the floor, come on, man. That just does not make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, it was a great game. I give it to the Lakers. But every night we go and face a team, we always have to account for either Kerr to give the game away or the refs to give the game away to the opposition. It just does not make any sense, man. Good night, and we'll talk some other day, man.
Get some rest, D. I know it's 2 o'clock out there a.m., man. If you're not up all night because of this game, please try and get some rest. We appreciate you calling in here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Evan Giddings with you on 95.7 The Game. Look, I I understand, man. I mean, that last possession, and I'm watching it right now. LeBron drives inside, and immediately as he comes off the screen, it just was clear. Like, he was going to put his head down and try to get to the rim because the Warriors were extremely small in that situation. But, the point of attack defender is Brandon Podziemski. Now, LeBron curls off the screen there. I think Kuminga is supposed to be the on-ball defender in that situation. But credit the Lakers. They run LeBron off of 2 screens. D'Lo sets one on Kuminga, and then I think Taurean Prince sets one on Kojo. So you end up with LeBron on Podziemski, who just treated him like fish food in the overtimes. I think Podziemski is a fine young rookie. He's been a contributing player this year for the Warriors, but because of how many guys had fouled out at that point, and there was 1-3 in overtime that I did not like from Brandon Podziemski, and I think everyone knows which one I'm talking about. It was down the stretch of the first overtime, I believe. Let me just go back and check my notes here. And as I'm going through, Podziemski was about 57 seconds left. I apologize. So in the first overtime, Clay fouls out with 1:14 left. So Podziemski comes in because he's the backup too, right? So D'Angelo Russell turns it over. The Warriors are up by 2 at this moment. Curry throws up a desperation 3 over Anthony Davis. It was like he didn't have any legs left at that point of the game. And in fact, I don't know where he continued to find his 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, etc. wins. But Curry throws up a desperation 3. They go up after being down for most of that first overtime. Pods comes in. His first shot is a transition 3. And I know he's open there, but I really just did not like the decision there. I thought it was a rookie mistake, and I thought that the Warriors could have used that possession to get a better shot and milk some clock, and also maybe get their legs back under them because they were extremely tired, as were the Lakers also. And, of course, D'Lo comes down, hits a transition triple, and then we go back and forth eventually to the point where it takes a Curry with 5 seconds 28-footer on a beautiful screen. I mean, like the Great Wall of China. Draymond Green just steps in front of Jared Vanderbilt. I know Lakers fans were pissed about an illegal screen. That was a great legal screen in which Draymond Green stonewalls Vanderbilt. Curry hits the 3 to send it to the second overtime. But unfortunately, of course, the Lakers get the last laugh. Pardon me, actually, that was in the second overtime. I apologize. All of that happened in the second overtime. Podziemski missing with the potential dagger, I'll say, with 57 seconds left. I thought the moment was a little bit too big for him tonight, but he was also a big reason why the Warriors were in that game and had a chance to close out that game. I thought he made some really smart plays at the tail end of the second half. A lot of hustle plays, but unfortunately, because of the guys fouling out, because of the amount of fouls that the Lakers drew, which, by the way, looking up and down this box score, 31 fouls that the Lakers drew on the Golden State Warriors. They got to the free throw line a total of 43 times in this game, and unfortunately, the Warriors could not overcome that. So, as for that last possession, TJD should have been in. I hear you. And perhaps, especially with the final look at LeBron getting the rim, that could have been a situation where, TJD might have been able to help. But I don't know. I really just think the Lakers called a play, got the switch they wanted, got the matchup they wanted, and LeBron was going to get to the line no matter what. Partially because I think the refs were inclined to give him a call, but also because that's just the contact that he forces. Podziemski playing a point of attack defense on one of the greatest, if not the greatest player of all time, that to me is a mismatch. And so I don't. It doesn't matter to me whether it's Kojo out there, whether it's Podziemski. Yes, the Warriors needed a big. I thought they needed a wing. They needed another wing, and there wasn't one to be available because Clay and Wiggins had already fouled out. So, if you wanted more of Trace Jackson Davis, this is what I'll say. TJD should have played more earlier in the game because, and God love him, but Kevon Looney was unplayable tonight. I'm sorry. In his 5 minutes off the bench, he was a minus 14, and though that's where we saw TJD to start the fourth quarter. That was supposed to be the Looney slot on the rotation, but because he had been so bad earlier in the game against the Lakers, TJD had to come in, and I thought he played well, ran a little bit of pick and roll, was able to put some pressure on the rim offensively. I still think defensively he's got, some rookie kind of tendencies, and maybe that's why Kerr didn't go to him in that situation, because he didn't trust him over the course of, over someone like Corey Joseph, who's a veteran. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the game came down to that decision, though everything's extremely glaring at this point. So 888-957-9570 is the number. I'm kind of with you, Tiago Trimbago, on the YouTube chat powered by First NorCal Credit Union. The free throw discrepancy is one of the big reasons that the Warriors lost this game. I think that, and then, as weirdly as it sounds, losing the Draymond Green minutes. Draymond, when he was off the floor, the Warriors were a minus 32, and Looney contributed to that, but the Warriors couldn't stop water if they had a faucet when Draymond Green was off the court. I mean, being able to rebound, being able to stop interior attack and impact, they could not stop anyone for the Lakers when Draymond wasn't in the game, and they got really hurt by the Lakers on the interior. So to me, that combined with, of course, the 43 to 16, free throw discrepancy, I thought was a big deal. But I do have some thoughts on that in just a minute. 888-957-9570 is the number. And also a reminder, of course, that here on 95.7 The Game, that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live in the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. Let's go into Fremont and bring on Shardol. What's up, Shardol? Tough game, man, but what was your takeaway? How you doing?
It's my first time caller on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a big Warriors fan, and this game was so heartbreaking because this team played their heart out today, man. Like, this team can really play basketball, and I know that. And, this game ended in a heartbreaking fashion as the Warriors lose by a score of 145 to 144. What were your thoughts on the game, and how do you think that they're going to bounce back? Because I know this team has ability to bounce back, but I don't know if that's going to happen because I try and stay optimistic as much as I can, but I don't think in this situation I don't think I can be that optimistic because this team is just letting me down every single year. Every single year, this team always finds a way of letting me down. And that just doesn't make me happy.
The last
at
2
all.
years, Shardol, the last 2 years, they've definitely let us down.
No, but I'm just saying that this team always has a way of having a lead, and then they always find a way of choking it in the end. Like, this is what this team, they have to work on their game really well. They can't choke big leads. Like, the Warriors were leading the game after Steph Kerr hit that three-pointer, but then in the end, Draymond Green fouled LeBron James, and then LeBron James went and hit both of those free throws, and that basically sealed the game. At that time, the Warriors couldn't really do anything to come back in the game. Like, the game was practically over at that point.
Yeah, that's fair, Chardonnay. Thanks for the call. Look, the point about the Warriors choking away games, that has absolutely been true throughout this season, specifically with double-digit leads. I don't have the number on me, but you look up and I think they led by as many as 15 in the second half, and eventually it evaporated, and I wasn't necessarily surprised to the point where I didn't even kind of write it down because it's not really something I've been tracking, to be honest. Like, this is a Warriors team that really struggles to defend down the stretch of games, and the Lakers scored 145 points tonight. It did take double overtime to do it, but that tail end of the fourth quarter was also a place where the Warriors could have closed this game out. And they led by 11 points, I think. 9 points. So 104 to 105 was the score with 3 minutes and 58 seconds left after Curry hits a corner three. D'Lo comes right back, hits a three. And then this is really one of the reasons. So the Warriors, no, you're right. Like, defensively, they're not a great team. Even with Draymond in, they're a much better defensive team with Draymond, but as a whole, they're probably middle of the pack as opposed to a bottom five defensive unit. With him in, I thought they were good defensively tonight. Unfortunately, they just couldn't come up with the stops they needed. Here's my thing, though. Offensively, down the stretch of that fourth quarter, because this was a chance to close the game, I'm just going to go down the misses that the Warriors had, and all of us together can, I think, kind of get a trend of where this is going and how the Lakers had a much different approach than the Warriors did. Okay, 3 minutes, 22 seconds. Clay misses a three coming off a pick. Then, next possession, D'Angelo Russell gets into the lane. That, I thought, was a ticky-tack call, if not a no call, but he really sold it, ended up getting to the free throw line, makes two. After a Draymond Green lane violation, by the way, which I thought was another iffy call, and there's going to be a lot of iffy calls throughout this list. After that, it's a 4-point game, right? After two made baskets, D'Lo at the free throw line, D'Lo on a three. The Warriors miss a three. They miss another three at the 3-minute mark because of a corner three from Draymond Green. Kuminga, I think, makes the right read there into the corner. Unfortunately, it's to the wrong teammate. Draymond misses a three. Then an Anthony Davis travel, followed by another missed three by the Warriors. Curry misses coming off a screen. Then immediate leak out. Reeves crashes into the paint, draws a shooting foul on Klay Thompson. That's a 7-0 Lakers run after two made free throws to make it a 2-point basketball game. Then the Warriors are unable to get a shot up. Vanderbilt commits a loose ball foul. Curry misses another step-back long jumper over Anthony Davis. Again, there's a trend here. Klay missed three. Draymond missed three. Curry missed three. Curry missed long step-back. D'Lo comes down with the minute 42, hits the go-ahead three to put the Lakers up 115-114 to complete the 10-0 run. That right there, to me, is where the Warriors had a chance to win the game, to put it away, and they didn't do it because they settled. Now, they also settled in the overtimes, but they hit some big shots. The Warriors down the stretch of games, and I don't know if it's because they're older guys with older legs playing heavy minutes and they're getting tired, but the combination of opposing teams, again, Reeves attacking the paint, D'Lo attacking the paint, getting to the free throw line. A few of those I do think were ticky-tack calls, but again, they're forcing contact. They're forcing the Warriors to play good defense without fouling, and unfortunately, or because you felt like the referees gave it to them, they weren't able to do it. The Lakers had an intent during that about 3-minute stretch to get downhill, to get easier looks, and the Warriors settled for long jump shots. That allowed that game to go from a 9-point affair with 4 minutes left to eventually the Lakers having the lead. And then the Warriors, had to clutch up last 90 seconds. Wiggins steps to the free throw line. He misses both. There's a Lakers turnover. Clay, another missed three with 53 seconds left. Wiggins misses the putback. 30 seconds left. LeBron goes at JK, misses, but then there's a loose ball foul on Anthony Davis. I also didn't think that was a great call. I thought Curry boxed him out cleanly, but Davis gets to the free throw line, makes both 117-114, 22 seconds left. Curry, another deep three miss. And then there's an offensive rebound, and this is another weird whistle. Actually, it was inadvertent. That was the call. There was an inadvertent whistle, jump ball. Fortunately, the Warriors are able to win it. Curry gets into the paint with, I think, a beautiful, composed, finally an approach in which they're attacking the paint. Curry gets it, makes it a 1-point game. Anthony Davis gets fouled, splits free throws, and then Curry attacks the tin once again, gets a game-tying shot to send it to overtime. To me, those last two shots by Curry is what the focus should have been from the Warriors the entire final 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. The Warriors settled for jump shots, and they got hit by the Lakers, who attacked inside and who tried to get to the free throw line and eventually put together a run to get back in that basketball game. If the Warriors make a more concentrated effort down the stretch of not just this game, but of a lot of games, I do think the results are different. We're not talking about them like choke artists, but they settle. Clay and Curry do have a propensity because of their ability to make big shots from long ranges to settle down the stretch of games, and too often I felt like they were looking for the kill shot instead of getting a basket, and it ended up hurting them to the point where the Lakers go on a 13-4 run over the final 4 minutes. They force overtime, and the Warriors nearly eke it out, but they fall again by a final score of 145-144. Let's hit the phone lines. 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. Grant's in San Francisco. What's going on, Grant? How you doing?
Hey, oh my goodness. All right, you stole a little of my thunder there, the things I was going to discuss. But just going to a couple of things that you've hyped on. The free throws. The reason that the Warriors are not getting those calls is because they don't initiate enough action getting into the paint, driving, dunking to get some of that contact. Mm-hmm. You know, when Draymond Green is taking threes, you know, I'm driving in my car here. I can't even see the game. But I know Draymond Green was standing with no defender anywhere near him, almost daring him to take that three. What he should have done is driven it to the paint. At least that way, he would have had a higher percentage shot, and he could have possibly drawn a foul with their defense. And no one's doing that, and they don't seem to understand that. Someone has got to be able to go in there and dunk. Old Clay used to be able to do that. I mean, Old Clay was the guy that did that. They don't have anyone that can do that. I'm telling you, that's a maker. They ought to have Draymond Green. If Draymond Green was driving to the basket every time he thought about even trying to make a three, there's your difference. There's the extra fouls on the Lakers team, and there are the points because he's a very good free throw shooter. That plus 31, plus 61, plus 100 is meaningless to me, especially when they lose. And they lose for the same reasons. This is the same thing that happened in the Kings game. I mean, no one can bully their way in there. You know, and don't get me started. Draymond Green's a bully, but it comes with the basketball. No, he can't do anything. All right, I'm done.
Thanks, man. No, hey, look, if you got anything to get off your chest, we are happy to hear it. This is a safe space on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. My name is Evan Giddings, and if you want to chat, if you got a question, if you got a comment, if you got a rant, I want to hear from you. 888-957-9570 is the number. And taking a look at the Comcast business text line, there is no reasonable excuse from the 510 that Steph Curry, a four-time champ and a two-time MVP, gets 3 free throws in 40-plus minutes. Well, I'm with you. There were a couple questionable calls. In fact, there was one non-call in the overtime that I think he spent. I don't know if they showed it on television, but he spent like 3 minutes after the next whistle talking to the referee, I think, about that very call. So there could have been one or two, but largely, Curry scored 46 points and he shot 3 free throws. Those are facts. What is also a fact is that I saw Curry. Again, I just went down the play-by-play list. Curry took so many long jump shots, and maybe it's because he felt like he wasn't going to get a whistle if he went to the rack. I'm inclined to believe that's just because he was settling. He took 21 three-pointers tonight. The Splash Brothers as a whole took 38 threes. The Lakers shot 27. That is a ridiculous discrepancy. You talk about the difference in free throws. The Warriors as a team shot 21 more threes than the Lakers did. Now, the Lakers, of course, shot 37 more free throws than the Warriors did. They got to the 27 more free throws than the Warriors did. Sorry about the math there. But the Warriors and the Splash Brothers were jacking so much, and they made a bunch of them. They made 17 threes, but together, combined tonight, the Splash Brothers, and it wasn't just in the paint, too. A lot of them were long twos. Like, they were taking jump shots tonight. And that generally doesn't help you get to the free throw line. Klay Thompson took – so if Steph Curry – and I don't mean to make this – I'm not trying to come down anyone's road here, but I do hear Kerr along with Curry talking about, okay, well, how come Curry only got 3 free throws tonight, right? He scored 46 points. No one's talking about the fact that Klay Thompson didn't take a free throw because he took all jump shots. He was 9 of 24, 17 of which of those were from three-point range. No one's going to say, hey, Klay only took no free throws. But everyone's looking at Curry that he only took 3. He probably could have taken 5, maybe 7, could have got to the line a couple more times. I'm not saying that he didn't get a tough whistle on some calls. But when you're taking 21 three-point shots, it's really hard to get to the free throw line. And I know 3 free throws isn't a lot, but, I mean, LeBron took 6 free throws tonight, 2 of which were to ice the game or to win the game. So I understand that was you look at the box score and you see how the hell did that happen. I mean, the Warriors the refs gave them 34 whistles and the Lakers only got 19. I'm looking at two different stylistic approaches offensively, especially in crunch time. The Warriors took jump shots. The Lakers got to the line. They attacked. They got downhill. They got into the paint. And Curry did do that, but it was after freeing himself and going around Anthony Davis. So I didn't see Steph Curry trying to seek contact tonight as much as I saw the Lakers did. And I apologize if that makes me a bad guy, but that's just kind of the way I read it. 888-957-9570 is the number. Shaka's in Berkeley. What's going on, Shaka? How you doing?
Oh, man, tough loss, man. Tough loss.
No doubt.
I'm loving the broadcast, man. You're doing a great job, man. Hey, man, I see when LeBron got almost to the rim and had iced the game with the 2 free throws, he just got to the rim too easy, man. After the switch, you got the rookie, a 6'3" rookie on a 6'9", arguably the second greatest basketball player of all time. I mean, that's just a lot for him to to withstand. I think that the coaching should have get a little bit during these timeouts. We got to come out better, man. I'm not going to throw everything on Kerr, but it's a lot of the same play, a lot of settling. We're selling for threes. We just get to we need a big man, man. We need a big man. It's just evident. Same thing in the 6-game series last year. Same results. We need a big man. Also, a man like Russell, man. We need an attacking point guard like Russell. How he was attacking. He made the nail biter 3 in transition that was, that kind of broke our back. But we need somebody, like you said, attacking, man. There's nobody attacking. Everybody's settling. And then, I'm not putting anything on Kerr, but somebody's got to say something. The inmates can't run the penitentiary, man. You got to coach, man. And you're not putting the big guys in. The big guy, I just thought about the young guy who's been playing good all year.
TJD, yeah.
Overlook the rookies, man. You're overlooking the rookies, man. We got to change the process because we're not attacking, and that's why we sell it, and that's why we losing, man. Thanks, man, for taking my call.
Appreciate it, Shaka. Yeah, no, I mean, look, anytime you lose by a point, there's about 20 different things you probably could have done better over the course of the game. Would have loved to have TJD potentially on the floor. But I also saw, Kuminga was supposed to be the on-ball defender on that possession on LeBron, but the Lakers ran him off a couple rub screens, got pods one-on-one with LeBron, and the Warriors decided to not double or throw the double immediately, and he put his head down and got to the rim, got to the free throw line. So, if he misses a free throw, we're going to a third overtime. If he can't clutch up, if he unfortunately did with what Andrew Wiggins did in the tail end of the fourth quarter and bricks 2 free throws, we're talking about how LeBron is unclutch, and it's really hard to look at this game, which again was such a good basketball game. There were 22 ties and 16 lead changes in this basketball game. And as a Warriors fan, this hurts because you end up on the losing side. The villains got the better of you tonight, and they won by a point. But it was a great basketball game, and I guess this isn't one, and there are games in which I'm happy to point the finger at Steve Kerr. I can't do it for that one possession because he also might have made a move that essentially had them in this game, which was the starting lineup. I thought, and we talked about it this morning on Warriors This Week with Dan Devone, I thought the starting lineup needed to be changed, and that was Kerr kind of reacting to Draymond coming back, ramping him up. I don't think Saric is a starting player. He wasn't great off the bench in this game, missed some open threes that he usually hits, but I thought Kerr bringing both Draymond as well as Kuminga into the starting lineup was a fantastic move. And I think we are going to see more of that because I've been asking for this for a couple of months. I think that is the most potential of a two-way type of lineup that the Warriors have. So that to me is where they're going to win and lose basketball games. And for the first time, we're looking at the starting lineup, and I thought all 5 of them played very well. There's some up and down moments for sure. But Wiggins, I saw Wiggins play with intent tonight. I saw him going at LeBron James. I saw him toss LeBron in transition. I saw Jonathan Kuminga for the majority of the contest attack the tin with relentlessness. He grabbed 4 offensive rebounds. He was moving the ball. He was making the right passes. Didn't turn it over all but 2 times. Draymond Green, again, was a plus 33 in this basketball game. Nearly had a triple-double. And then the Splash Brothers, though Klay Thompson didn't shoot it well for the majority of the contest, he was up and down. Didn't after not making a three-pointer in the fourth quarter, he hit huge ones in overtime, including one to send it to double OT. Steph, what more needs to be said about him? He had a season-high 46 points and might have hit the most clutch basket of the game, if not for LeBron's free throws. The starting 5, by Steve Kerr's decision, was magnificent tonight. If there's any fingers to point, for the first time maybe this season, it feels like, it's at the second unit who got outscored, I think, for only the 4th or 5th time this season by a Lakers second unit that I didn't think was very good outside of Jared Vanderbilt, who played 41 minutes, and he himself was also a plus 30. So, Kerr, look, if you want to second guess the final lineup in that last possession, I'll hear you. But I think he did a pretty good job at coaching this game outside of, maybe 1-2 things that are outweighed by the overall, game plan and approach coming in, which was we're going to feature our best lineup. We're going to win and lose with our 5 that we believe are the best two-way type of versions of ourselves. Draymond played 46 minutes. Kuminga played 43 minutes. Wiggins played 41 minutes only because he fouled out. Curry played 43 minutes, and Klay Thompson played 47 minutes and fouled out. He played so much to the point where they had him probably on a minutes restriction. They're like, we can't play him 50 minutes in this basketball game. They had to take him out, had to bring Pajemski in. Lakers went a little run, and then Kerr brings him back in, and Klay ends up being a major part of overtime. So I know there's always stuff you want more, and Steve Kerr has not had his best season as head coach, but this game to me is not on him. It's just the Lakers being 1 point better, and I think that's something that's really, really hard to stomach. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. Let's get out to Rick in Hayward. What's going on, Rick? What'd you make of the game?
The free throws is the difference of the game.
Yeah.
That's all you can really say. I mean, and some of those phantom fouls, the refs got to do a better job. I'm sorry. There were no touches. The Lakers are great actors. They acted their way into a win. And I thought, like you said, the Warriors played a good game. Their bench has got to get stronger. They need to get Davis in. I thought that was a mistake not putting him in late in the game. I thought Brad never took that shot. They were up by 2. They could have ran time off the clock and tried to get it to the foul line. I mean, that was the difference. Lakers drove, Warriors shot. Simple.
Yep. No, I mean, look, I think the one thing that did frustrate me about Kerr tonight, it was the challenge on Kuminga, or challenge of, LeBron's foul that was attributed to Kuminga. LeBron kind of ripping through. Even though you may have felt like it was a foul on LeBron or a non-foul on Kuminga, once they showed the replay, at least from where I was sitting in press row, it seemed pretty clear that was not going to be overturned. And if Kerr was indeed furious and not happy with the last couple of overtimes in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter in terms of the calls, well, you got nobody but yourself to blame, because I thought you used a challenge at an inopportune time. And again, when you're playing so many close games, I just don't think you can afford to use your challenge unless you absolutely need it that early in a game. I mean, this is the 32nd time it's come down to the wire against the Warriors. They absolutely could have used a challenge. That, to me, is where Kerr, I think, deserves a little bit of criticism, because I didn't think that was a great choice, and it ended up hurting him potentially down the stretch. As far as the whistles go and the fouls, I mean, the Lakers take more free throws than the majority of teams. Like, they get to the line better than, and they have been for the last, year and a half. So them getting the free throw line is not out of the ordinary. But that big of a difference, I think, is due to a couple of reasons. And I was going back and forth with my friend who's a Lakers fan because he said, well, the Warriors did this, the Warriors did this. Just off the top of my head, there were 3 terrible calls that I did not agree with down the stretch of that game. There's probably a lot more. And if you want to call in and tell me what they were, 888-957-9570. The inadvertent whistle in the fourth quarter, I don't know how that happens. Like, I don't. And it ended up hurting the Warriors. It wasn't like that whistle was for the Lakers, but I do not know how that happens. An inadvertent whistle that results in a jump ball. Fortunately, didn't end up biting the Warriors in the butt because they came back and they won in double OT, but that was going to be an open shot for Clay in the corner. Inadvertent whistle. The second, phantom foul on Steph Curry. They got D'Lo to the free throw line down the stretch of the fourth quarter. That was not a foul. And that is where I think Kerr probably would have used and would have won if he had a challenge left. So partially on Kerr for using his challenge earlier in the game when I don't think he shouldn't have, but also that's not a foul on Steph Curry as D'Lo sold the hell out of it. Give him an Oscar shout-out, Los Angeles. So, and then the alleged illegal box out on Anthony Davis right before the tail end of regulation that got Anthony Davis to the free throw line. They made it a 3-point game, and then the Warriors ended up having to need, puzzle piece this together to force overtime. I didn't think that was an illegal box out at all. Like, I don't know what else you're supposed to do against a guy who's 6'10". He didn't get underneath him. He didn't, essentially chop block him while he was reaching for the ball. He just boxed him out cleanly, and you put a body on him. And I thought that was a bad call. And another call that Kerr probably could have challenged if he had one. So I think, those were the 3 calls that I did not like. 888-957-9570 is the number. Looking up and down at the box score, there was a lot of heavy contributions. And to me, if we're looking at the hardest worker of the game here tonight, by the way, brought to you by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who works hard to serve the community. If you're looking for a career in law enforcement, learn more about job opportunities at joinacso.com. The hardest worker of the game was Draymond Green. And the 14 defensive rebounds. This is something that we kind of got into earlier, in the fact that defense has been the issue for the Warriors, right? With Draymond, yes, they're middle of the pack, but without him, certainly has been an issue. Defending, stopping teams from scoring, yes. But the Warriors' quietly defensive rebounding has not been very good this season. I think they were 22nd in the league coming into this game. A big part of playing defense is ending the possession for the other team. Draymond had 14 defensive rebounds in which he ended possessions. That's a big part of it. I thought he also made Anthony Davis's life, as he tends to do, very, very difficult. And then he moved the rock on the offensive side of the ball and had 11 assists. Even if you don't buy much into the plus-minus stat, plus 33 in a game in which you won by 1 point is pretty damn hard to do. And for that, Draymond Green is our hardest worker of the game, brought to you by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. All right, we're going to step aside and take a quick break, but hang on, please. I got some thoughts on the other side that I want to get to about this game, about where the Warriors are at, and what I believe is the greatest rivalry that I have seen in the NBA in my lifetime. I want to dig into that further on the other side after the Golden State Warriors fall, unfortunately, in double overtime. They're now 5 games below 500 after the 145-144 loss to their rivals from Southern California, the Los Angeles Lakers. 888-957-9570 is the number, and we want to hear from you talking about this game, how you're feeling about the season. Is it all in the head coach? Was it just the free throw discrepancy that pissed you off? Was it the referees? Was it LeBron James' smug face? I mean, he had 30, 20, and 10 at age 39. It's incredible, but it's also infuriating. It's frustrating. I get it. The Warriors' lack of ability to close out basketball games in which they had an opportunity to do so tonight. If you have a suggestion about that, we want to hear from you at 888-957-9570. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. We are back with more after this on 95.7 The Game.
Hi, I'm Brian Bakhtiari, Executive Manager of Stevens Creek Subaru. With all of our recent storms, it's a reminder of the power and unpredictability of Mother Nature. At Stevens Creek Subaru, we understand the importance of all-wheel drive, whether it's getting you to the slopes, the surf, or your daily...
Warriors lead by 2, 141-139. What a crazy game this is.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Evan Giddings with you here on 95.7 The Game. This is Warriors Wrap-Up after the Warriors unfortunately fall to the Los Angeles Lakers in double overtime by a final score of 145-144. Lakers now advance a game over 500. The Warriors fall to 5 games, a season-high 5 games below 500. A lot to dig into, of course, talking about the Warriors down the stretch of that fourth quarter, their clutch shot-making ability in overtime, the starting lineup change from Steve Kerr at the beginning of this game, and also tipping your cap to, I think, LeBron James, who had 30, 20, and 10. First Laker to do so since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he did it at the age of 39. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr in just a moment, but if you have a note, if you have a comment, if you have something you want to get off your chest about this game, about this season, I do want to hear from you at 888-957-9570. Let's get out to Mark in Millbrae, who's a frequent guest here on the program. What's up, Mark? How we doing, my man?
Very frustrating loss tonight. Just brutal. Once again, what happened? Warriors don't put their foot on the neck and close out a team. You're up, 9 with about 4 minutes left in the game.
Yep.
And what do? You completely take the shot selections are killing me, man. This relies not only on the players, but Steve Kerr. reason why. How many times this has got to be the same MO where you can't finish the team off because your damn shot selection. Stop jacking up terrible shots. I'm not going to get on Podemski too much because he's a rookie still learning the game, but the veterans we're doing the same thing. And you saw when you have a team in foot and neck, you're up 9 points with 4 minutes, you have to put the damn game away. You can't allow them to go on a 12-0 run. That was exciting and thrilling as that game was. In double overtime, it should have never even got to overtime. The Warriors' own self-implosion has cost them so many times this year, and it's the same MO. I don't know what Steve Kerr is going to get through the heads of these guys. Guys, stop taking up the bad three ball when you can just strive to the rack, get to the free throw line. Obviously, tonight, the free throw discrepancy was debacle, but that's because they're jacking up so many threes, and even in overtime and double overtime, they took, double the amount to the Lakers. While the Lakers are attacking the rim, that's why they get to the free throw line. Now, were there some questionable calls tonight? Yeah, there was a lot of them. But you can't put yourself in your position. When you're really struggling like the Warriors at this point, get to the easy shot, get to the line, and try to ice the game away. And unfortunately, it shot themselves in the foot again. And as great as that game was, man, it's just painful to see how many times they've repeatedly cost themselves. So I don't know if this is going to change, man. It's not looking too good, but hopefully you got another tough team against Philly coming up. Maybe they'll figure something out because they show them they can beat some good teams, but they've lost to a lot of bad teams. And the one big difference is at home, they're not winning. Obviously, on the road, they've always struggled the previous years, but unfortunately, this year at home, they're not finding ways to win these games. So hopefully, miraculously, they can start turning it around at some point anyway, or it's going to be a long, painful end of the season. Thanks for the time.
I appreciate it, Mark, and I think something to unpack there that we've talked about, and I wholeheartedly agree with. When it comes to the end of basketball games, and look, you're not going to lead in all of them, so you're going to have to figure out ways to kind of piece this together. But the Warriors, despite being 5 games under 500, have led countless times with a chance to close games in the fourth quarter. And tonight, Mark, was another example. Like you mentioned, 3 minutes and 58 seconds left to go in the game. The Warriors lead 114-105 after Curry hits a three. I will list the next possessions for the Golden State Warriors, and you're going to hear a theme here. Klay Thompson missed three with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left. Draymond at the 3-minute mark misses a corner three. 2 minutes and 27 seconds left. Curry misses a three coming off his screen. 1 minute and 58 seconds left. Curry misses a long step back two over Anthony Davis. I mean, it is frustrating. 53 seconds left. Klay Thompson misses a corner three. Wiggins misses the putback attempt. 22.2 seconds left. Curry misses a deep three. The Warriors down the stretch of that game settled for long distance looks. Now, that's not an excuse for a 27 free throw discrepancy, 27 different free throws, but they settled for threes. The Lakers tried to attack the paint. That's why the Lakers found themselves getting to the rim. They found themselves getting to the free throw line, and the Warriors found themselves on their heels. In the final 4 minutes of the game tonight against the Lakers, I saw the Warriors, and specifically Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I don't know if it was because they're older, they got heavier legs, they obviously taxed their bodies a lot tonight, even before they got to overtime. Klay played 47 minutes, Curry played 43 minutes, but more often throughout this season, more often than not, we've seen the oldest players on this team try to go for the kill shot instead of try to get downhill and get to the rim. Now, I understand they're two of, if not the greatest shooters of all time. Curry is. Klay certainly in the conversation for the number 2 greatest shooter of all time. That's who they've been. That's who they are. But that leaves you susceptible to, number one, leaving the door open if you're not the great defensive team you used to be and you can't get stops like you used to be. They're a middle-of-the-pack defensive unit with Draymond Green out there. They're a bottom 5 defensive unit when he doesn't play. So that's one thing that keeps the door open. Secondly, you don't give yourself a chance to get to the free throw line when you take jump shots. you don't give yourself a chance to get bailed out by the whistle and step to the stripe and get easy points. That doesn't happen when you're taking jump shots. And in the final 3 minutes and 58 seconds, when you're up by 9 points, the Warriors not once, not twice, but 5 different times looked for the kill shot, and they couldn't get it. They ended up finding their way into overtime, and they nearly pulled it out against the Lakers. But that, to me, is a macro, big-picture type of issue that I have seen more often than not just this year, but going back to last season. I'm not sure it's going to change, but it needs to, because the Warriors have to find a way to get easier baskets than asking Steph, Klay, and even in a case like tonight, Draymond Green to bail them out with threes. It didn't work against the Lakers. It hasn't worked against other opponents, and it's one of the reasons I think why they find themselves heartbroken like they did again tonight. So if you have any other suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them at 888-957-9570. But I did promise that we're going to get to Steve Kerr and his post-game interview. Here's what the head coach of the Golden State Warriors had to say after the double overtime loss.
Turn this around and have a great season. I really believe that. I love our guys. They're amazing, and they've been through so much this year. And I know who they are. I know how connected they are. I know how much they care about each other and about the game. And we're gonna turn it. Tonight was we didn't get the result, but our guys showed who they are tonight.
Same starting lineup that closed the game last game. What jumped out about the way that group played today?
Well, it gives us a little more size and athleticism across the board, and we're trying to maximize the number of possessions that those guys play together. We're in a position now with Wiggs playing at a high level and JK having come around and Klay. Steph, Draymond back after the suspension. We're in a position where we can put those guys on the floor together, and probably our best 5. So we want to maximize the number of possessions they have together.
Trace was initially a DNP, and then you brought him out later in the 4th, I believe it was. What went into your decision to do that?
To take Klay out? Or Trace?
Trace,
yes.
Oh, Trace. He was initially DMP. And then, so what went into that decision? And also, do you expect he'll be in the rotation going forward?
We just wanted to get his finishing at the rim, the way the Lakers were guarding us. We felt like Trace was a good option in that spot, and he played well. He came in, got a couple of buckets, and he's played well for us all year, and he'll continue to get minutes.
You mentioned Draymond just before he was a plus 31. What does having him back just allow? Because before, I think we talked about it last game, Kuminga and Wiggs previously not having played very well together. Draymond comes back and everything's just clicking. What does Draymond specifically unlock for these conversations?
Draymond's one of the great defenders, of all time. So when he's with a group, he automatically connects the group defensively, and he covers up for mistakes, but he's also behind the play talking and communicating. And then on offense, he's another playmaker for us. So Draymond he's a Hall of Fame player for a reason, and he was brilliant tonight.
You almost primarily went with him at center, and obviously started him, closed him at center. I know you have plenty of options at the 5, but do you feel like that can become the identity of this team?
Yeah.
The bulk of the minutes of him just as center.
Yeah. It's just the way the game is played, the scoring that's happening around the league. It's so hard to defend. You have so much space to cover, so many shooters. So Draymond at the 5 with JK and Wiggs, it allows us to cover more ground defensively.
Coach, there was obviously a lot of frustration after this game, a game like this where, the emotions are high. Steph, I think, ripped his jersey after the game. At this stage of the season, what do you tell your team after a loss like this when you guys have had a season of similar type losses down the stretch?
Exactly what I just told you guys, that we're going to get this turned. I believe in them. We've been through so much this year, but the season's only halfway over. There's a long way to go, and we got a lot of good stuff ahead of us.
And that was Steve Kerr after the Golden State Warriors again fell by a point to the Los Angeles Lakers in double overtime. couple of things there. One thing I think that might have been left out was the free throw discrepancy. Kerr had kind of a witty answer because last time, of course, in Denver, he came down the road to the refs. He got fined for it. And so tonight he said, I am not going to talk about the fact that the Lakers shot 43 free throws and we shot 16. And I'm definitely not going to talk about the fact that Steph Curry in 43 minutes, as one of the greatest players ever, shot just 3 free throws. So that should certainly make people feel better about, Kerr trying to call out the officials. It doesn't make the result better. It doesn't make anything better. The one thing that Curry also brought up post-game, which I've kind of been scouring through social media and want to bring to the table here is, and I feel the same way, it wasn't just the discrepancy for me, and Curry's hit the nail on the head. It was the inconsistency of the calls. And I'm not saying the inconsistency was like it was for LA and not for the Golden State, but the inconsistency of when you let them play and when there were ticky-tack calls makes it very difficult to feel, I'm sure, as a player, how you're supposed to defend, when you're supposed to try and draw contact, when to expect contact, and if that's going to get a whistle. So for someone like Steph, who's played 15 years and is a very smart player, you're just kind of guessing at that point late in the game because there's been so many up and down whistles that you don't know what's going to be a foul, you don't know what's not going to be, and that can be very frustrating in the moment, and probably one of the reasons why you heard one of the reporters ask Steve Kerr about Curry ripping his jersey. In addition to just being a frustrating loss, I'm sure it was very frustrating the inconsistency of the whistle that there was tonight. But if there's anything you took away from that post-game interview from Steve Kerr, if it was about the whistles, if it was about the swing players or the wing players, which I want to touch on in a moment, if it was about Draymond Green, Steph Curry, the Los Angeles Lakers, or just the late game inability to close, I want to hear from you. Evan Giddings on Warriors Wrap Up with you on 95.7 The Game. And I'm with you. Randy Brindling on YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. That blockout calling Curry against Davis was total BS. I didn't like it either. Chris Seb, Mark Jackson's been calling for a Curry whistle since 2009. I don't think that Curry gets a great whistle in comparison to the other greats of all time, but I will say he plays a very different style that is not conducive to contact and drawing whistles. And maybe that's just who Steph is, right? Like, he isn't someone that tries to enunciate contact the way that LeBron James does. He's also not big and strong enough and physical and fast enough, like LeBron is, obviously, to be able to initiate contact every time he touches someone and then can draw away. He's not Luka Doncic. Like, he's not James Harden. And that's one of the reasons why I love Steph, because he doesn't beg for calls. Now, I think he expects a whistle, and I would hope that he'd be able to get one in certain situations, but because of how he plays, because of how he approaches the referees, and also I think just because of his stature, he doesn't get the whistle that those other big boys get. Speaking of the wings, and this plays into it too. So we just talked about how the philosophical kind of inability of the Warriors to close out games, I believe offensively, has to do with the fact that they just look for the kill shot. They look for the jump shot to get them to the finish line. And I know that the Warriors have made their hay as the two greatest shooters in the Splash Bros and all the rest, and they make tons of threes. But this year, and going back to last year too, but mainly this season, they have lived and died with the jump shot. And unfortunately, on a night like tonight, they died with it. But this is what I'll say. If the Warriors are to, as a team, change that type of, hey, throw it to Curry, throw it to Clay, bail us out, either get us in those big moments or don't, and we're going to go home with our hearts broken. If you want to change that, I am looking at two guys that can help that. And I'm looking at the two guys to me that have the easiest time of getting to the rim, of getting to the paint, and forcing contact and forcing easy shots. And that's Jonathan Kuminga, and that's Andrew Wiggins. And I thought for the majority of the game, and really for the majority of the last well, for Kuminga now, 5 or 6 games, he's been averaging 26 points a game on 60% shooting, north of 60% shooting. I think entering tonight, he was 23 of his last 30 inside of the paint. So this guy clearly can get inside the restricted area and score with efficiency at will. I do wonder, though, with the inconsistency from both of those guys at the free throw line, I wonder if there is some apprehension from both of them when the game's on the line and when things get tight to put their head down and play with the physicality and play with the ferocity that we saw them play for and generally see them play for the first 3 quarters of the game. I wonder if there's some of that, if there's some apprehension, because they know if they go in the trees and they get inside and bang with the towers, especially of a team like Los Angeles, that they're going to have to go to the free throw line, like Andrew Wiggins did in the fourth quarter, and he missed both free throws. I forget if it was the first or second overtime, JK got to the line. He split. I wonder if there's some apprehension from those two players to attack the tin the way they do for the majority of the game because they're worried about their free throw shooting letting down the team. And look, they're trying to do what's best for the group, right? They're obviously trying to win. They're trying to compete. But I think that there might be something in the back of their heads like, okay, Steph is the best player for this spot. Clay's the best player for this spot because they're the best jump shooters. Because if they take free throws, they're going to make them. They're going to be clutch. Not that JK and Wiggins don't have the ability to. We've seen Wiggins probably more times than JK in tight spots at the free throw line. And sometimes he makes them, sometimes he doesn't. But to me, there does need to be a switch that's flipped, specifically in Kuminga's mind, if I'm going to look at him as a player that the Warriors can, and I believe should, lean on down the stretch of games. Look, I can understand why you're going to step to the stripe, and it's going to be nervous, and it's a big moment, and there's people cheering, but that's the kind of moment that you have to eventually be able to embrace, and that's not easy to do at 21 years of age. So he's gotten better over the course of this season. He's shooting pretty well at the free throw line, but you got to be able to get to the line and make clutch free throws if you want to close out opponents in a tight game. And so I think in order to offset, and maybe it could also make it in a twofold manner, also Curry's job easier. If Kuminga and Wiggins, specifically in a game like this, and Kerr had them out there for 40-plus minutes each, if they can, put the hard hat on and continue to attack the paint, but also make their free throws, I think this does look like a different game. I do think they win this game. So, I'm not saying that it's on them, but I'm saying overall from a big picture standpoint, if the Warriors are to close out some of these teams when they have 15-point leads in the second half or even earlier, I do think one way to get more free throws, like the two guys that have the easiest time to get to the free throw line in my mind are your two wings, are your two best attackers of the paint. Those should be the guys that should be able to get to the free throw line, and then it's about making them. So I think that could be an option for the Warriors as well. Kuminga was 4 of 6 at the stripe tonight, and Andrew Wiggins was 3 of 5 at the line. Again, they were extremely efficient offensively this evening, and they did also prove to me. I know Kuminga was a -7. I'm honestly going to throw that out a little bit because I thought he played really well this evening. Wasn't indicative of his entire game. Wiggins was a +1 in 41 minutes. Anytime you play that long, you're on the court for a reason, and in a game like this, I thought they were absolutely necessary. This is the type of game that you can look at and say, well, this is how these guys can coexist. And I think the reason is Draymond Green, because I do think he's able to glue them together. And they seem like they've been able to figure out how to play and, most importantly, complement each other. I thought that's been a really important aspect of their growth together since Draymond Green has come back. And that is going to be, I think, a reason why we do or don't see movement at the trade deadline, because the Warriors have been talking about, is it going to be Wiggins? Kuminga's been in trade talks. To me, Kuminga has moved into the untouchable category because of the type of growth that we've seen from him as of late in his third season at age 21. That's someone, and I've been on this train for a while, but that's someone I could not deal with. I could not deal away under any circumstance, even before he started turning on in this matter. I've been on this for years. Kuminga cannot go anywhere. I think Andrew Wiggins, to me, is the likely odd man out if the Warriors do make a move. But maybe they're also learning, and he's showing them that over these next 6 or 7 games before the trade deadline, that he's more valuable to the Golden State Warriors if he can coexist with Kuminga and Draymond Green can help them play together on the court. Maybe he's more valuable to them than he is to another team. And over the course of the next 3 years, which you have him under contract, maybe you can look for a light at the end of the tunnel and some semblance of salvaging the old Andrew Wiggins, because I don't think he's nearly as bad as he's played for the majority of the season, and it looks like he's starting to dig himself out as he's been empowered alongside Jonathan Kuminga. So I think the Warriors found something as far as their starting lineup is concerned. Obviously Curry and Clay, and then Kuminga with Wiggins and Green. The one consequence of that is, though, if you move your primary, or what was your primary bench score in Kuminga, into the starting lineup, you do leave yourself pretty vulnerable and pretty thin on the back end. And this was the first time in a while that I looked at the second unit for the Warriors and I said, wow, they got nobody that can score from that second unit. Even if Trace Jackson was giving him a rope, he's not a scorer. He's not a creator. He's not a scorer, at least not at this point in his career. Podziemski is not a creator for himself at this point in his career. I think he's serviceable and he's great for what the Warriors want to do because he can help create for others. He got 4 offensive rebounds tonight. He had a big tip out to Klay Thompson for a 3. He comes up with steals. He drew another charge. By the way, he's now tied for 4th in the NBA among charges drawn. He's drawn 19 of them, I believe, this season. Also had 5 assists and 10 points off the bench. So, his hook shot looks like it's coming along when he floats it off of glass. Podziemski is a serviceable player for the Warriors, but he's not a creator. And then Šarić is more of a spot-up shooter, doesn't necessarily create for himself. He can play pick and roll with players. Chris Paul being out really hurts that aspect of his game, I believe. But on a night like tonight where his shot isn't falling, he was 2 of 8, 1 of 3 from three-point range, he's kind of unplayable. And then obviously Kevon Looney, who just unfortunately has been beneath the standard that he set for himself, having played nearly 300 games in a row. Unfortunately, his play has taken a bit of a dive this season and has opened the door for someone like TJD to come in and provide an impact. So I wonder if we're going to get more of TJD, if Kerr's going to continue to try and trust Looney, assuming as a big leader of this team and a big part of the heart of the Warriors, that he's more valuable. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to manage that situation, but I do know that tonight, Draymond Green, like Slater asked him postgame, played 46 minutes primarily at the 5. That is also a lot to ask of Draymond Green, even though you're not going to be in double overtime games. He's not going to play 46 minutes. But if Draymond's playing the 5, which is a very taxing position, even for such a great defender at him being undersized, that is a lot to ask of him. And I do wonder how Steve Kerr is going to try and take some pressure off of him when you don't have a ton of options at the big spot, right? You have, I guess, Šarić, who can play the 5 at times, although I'm not really a big fan of it. And then you have Looney and TJD. That's pretty much your 2 options because everyone else around him is relatively small. So I wonder how that's going to work as well. But general, I do have to give a tip of the cap, by the way, to the Warriors being able to manage the kind of minutes that they played tonight, because at multiple times, I just thought they were absolutely done. I thought they were running on E from really like the 4 or 5 minute mark of the fourth quarter through multiple 5-minute periods in overtime. When Curry hit a 3 over Anthony Davis at the, I think it was in the first overtime, he just kind of threw it up. It was almost like a step back set shot, and he just had nothing from his legs, and he still drained it, and it was incredible. And it unfortunately came to a skidding halt as the Warriors lose to the Los Angeles Lakers by a 145-144 score. A reminder that this is 95-7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 station in San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app. Also, Twitch and YouTube powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Any last comments, any last questions? 888-957-9570 is the number. From the 510, the Comcast Business Text line. They look for the kill shot and can't find it, but it's killing themselves. I'm kind of in agreement with you, 510. Wiggins can and does attack the basket, but he can't make the basket or the free throws, also for the 510. And then from the 534, Dub Nation still not giving up on a playoff run and upgrading at the trade deadline. I don't know if there's much to upgrade with at the trade deadline. That's something I'm sure we'll talk about in the coming weeks, and we do every single Saturday on Warriors This Week, which I encourage you to go check out the episode from earlier today. But we're definitely not giving up on a playoff run, as bleak as that might look right now. 5 games below 500 is where they're currently at. And the Warriors, this is the lowest they've been from a record standpoint this season. So, from Ed Patello on YouTube, oh man, $1 million question. What the hell is going on, Evan? That's my last question. What the hell is going on? We are all trying to figure that out, brother. So I appreciate you all tuning in to this show, Warriors Wrap Up. For those that caught us at Ballast Point earlier today on Warriors Live, love the appreciation you show for the program that you do for the entire station. And at the very least, there is some semblance of positivity from a sports standpoint, because the Niners are trying to make a Super Bowl tomorrow if they can beat the Lions. Well, I know we're looking forward to that coming up on 95.7 The Game. By the way, we'll be live and local all day starting at 9 a.m. From Chris M on YouTube. E-Dog, this team makes me want to day drink a la Guru. I'm day drinking. I mean, I'm going to go home and have a pop. I can tell you that. In fact, I might have 2 to 6. TBD. I got some Models. Some call them Montezuma's Gold. I'm pretty sure that's what they were looking for in El Dorado when the conquistadors came over. No, I just made that up. But I'm going to have a couple Models. That is for sure. Evan Giddings with you here on Warriors Wrap Up. One thing I do want to end this edition of Warriors Wrap Up with is this. And I was kind of taking a look at it, just thinking about it throughout the game, the back and forth affair in which the Warriors came out on the short end of the stick with. But getting to watch Steph Curry do what he does against LeBron James, I will be telling my grandkids about for a long time. And I know this is a loss that hurts, but I was just taking a look at this, like in the grand scheme of things, and I maybe I'm tripping, but I don't think this is hyperbole. I was just thinking about in my lifetime, the greatest rivalries between individual athletes that I've ever witnessed. I think about Tiger, Mickelson. I think about Brady and Manning. I think about Federer and Nadal. I'm a big tennis fan. By the way, shout out Jannik Sinner, taking down Djokovic in the semis. Hope he's able to beat Medvedev. And I think about Stephen Curry and LeBron James. Tonight was the 51st all-time meeting between Curry and LeBron, between the regular season and the playoffs. It's 27-24 in favor of Steph. Now, that's about as even as you can get between some of the greats. I mean, Larry and Magic, Wilt versus Chamberlain. I don't know if people put this type of individual matchup in that atmosphere, but I'm just thinking, I don't know if there's another, in my generation of sports fandom, I don't know if there's another NBA type of individual rivalry that I can put in the same category as these two. Getting to watch Curry and LeBron is something that I'm going to remember forever, whether it's been in the NBA Finals, of which Curry, of course, has the head-to-head championship advantage. LeBron got him in 16. Curry got him in 15, 17, and 18. You know, if they meet again in the playoffs like they did last year, they're going to have so many memories between these two, to the point where now I am looking at this regular season game, and it was one of the greatest that I witnessed with my own 2 eyes. I was lucky enough to be in the building at Chase Center for this one. Curry goes for 46 points. It's a season high for him. LeBron does something that hasn't been done in a Lakers uniform since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that's 30, 20, and 10. And he's doing it at age 39. Steph is doing and throwing in shots from 28, 30 feet. He's throwing these shots, and he's doing this at age 35. I don't know how much longer these two individuals at seemingly still the peak of their powers, are going to be able to put on these performances for. But I, for one, feel very lucky that I got to watch the game of basketball that I did tonight. As much as it sucked that the Lakers won by a point, up until LeBron made those 2 free throws, I was getting ready to sit up and celebrate with you guys because I was hoping it was going to be an unbelievable win. And that's how much it hurt. And it's understandable. LeBron had 12 points in overtime. He hit the last 2 free throws. Curry had 46, 12 of which in the OTs. Like, these guys are still doing it at such a ridiculous level. And I just feel lucky to have witnessed what I believe is on the Mount Rushmore of individual athlete rivalries in my lifetime. Again, Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning, Roger Federer versus Rafa Nadal, and Stephen Curry versus LeBron James. I will go to my grave believing that I saw with my own 2 eyes 2 guys, 2 titans, go back and forth for the 51st all-time meeting between the two. Curry's got the 3-game plus advantage, 27-24. But I feel like this is just an unbelievable thing that we get to witness as fans between these 2 greats, between these 2 all-time first ballot, no doubt about it, Hall of Fame players. So that is one of the ways that I feel. So, going to have a couple of more minutes here left on Warriors wrap-up. Evan Giddings with you here on 95.7 The Game. And any last calls, any last comments, definitely want to get them on. And the real winner is Adam Silver. Again, a good one from Chris M. I know you caught him getting extended, I think, through the rest of the decade. And this is also something, too, from Adrian Gutierrez I think is really interesting. Curry is a great player, but he can't keep doing it all by himself. I am getting to that point as well. Also because I don't think LeBron does it all by himself. Like, he had to do it tonight, and he can do it at times. He can take over games. LeBron didn't score a point in the fourth quarter. He had kind of saved himself for overtime. And you just look at the way that some of these older stars have been constructed, or older teams with stars have been constructed, and the ones that have gone on to win championships. What Curry did 2.5 years ago was extremely rare. To be a number 1 player at age 34 or older for a championship team does not happen very often. And for him to be at that level was ridiculous. You go back to 2020, and I don't know whether people consider it a Mickey Mouse ring or Disney title, whatever. The Lakers won the championship. LeBron James wasn't the best player on that team. You go back and watch the finals, the guy that stood next to him tonight, Anthony Davis, to me, was the best player in those finals. Though LeBron was named Finals MVP, AD was the straw that stirred the drink. LeBron was damn good. So I am kind of with you, Adrian. I do wonder if Curry, if it's fair, number 1, to have him continue to play 43 minutes in a game like this and ask him to do just about everything possible, scoring 46 points. I don't think he can keep doing it by himself and winning consistently. I don't think that it's fair to ask him to do it all the time and believe that he can just bail out the Warriors. I think it is going to take players stepping up from the rest of the roster. I think it is going to take the head coach making better decisions. And I do think this offseason it's going to take a reevaluation from the front office to look around this roster and say, how can we get it better for this guy? Because I also do think that Curry still can be a part of a championship team. But to ask him for 82 games in these kind of moments repeatedly, again, they played 32 clutch games now of their 43. And he has, to ask him to basically drag you through all these close games is a lot to ask of a 35 going on 36-year-old. And he's not the freak physical specimen that LeBron James is. And I would say LeBron James is a number 2 right now on his team. I know what he did tonight might prove otherwise, but you look at the totality of the season and you watch the Lakers most of the time, and I like them because I like to watch basketball and they're on national television quite a bit. Anthony Davis, when he plays and is dominant, the Lakers tend to win. I didn't think AD was that efficient tonight offensively. I thought he was impactful defensively, more so in the first half than the second. And then he got injured and he came back, of course, and credit to him for doing that. Although I really wonder what the injury was. Like, I thought it was a groin, and then I kind of thought he got a shot to the undercarriage, but then he went to the locker room and then he came back and he didn't end up bothering him the rest of the game. Who knows? But to ask Curry to be the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, to ask him to do all that, I just think is unrealistic to expect him to deliver at the rate that he has delivered throughout the majority of his 15 years, because he is getting older. That doesn't mean he can't still be great. It doesn't mean he can't still score 46 points in a freaking game. But I do think there needs to be something looked into as to how can we get this guy some help, because naturally as you get older, you need more help. And right now the Warriors are able to give it to him some nights, other nights they're not. Some nights Curry has it like he does tonight more often than ever before. He hasn't had it on certain nights, and I just think that this guy, as the franchise, deserves a little bit more help. And I think the Warriors understand that. And I think the Warriors are trying to find ways to give it to him, one of which is the improvement of Jonathan Kuminga as a surefire number 2 option, Andrew Wiggins playing better, Draymond Green being better on defense, Klay Thompson shooting more consistently, and then hopefully getting healthy, getting this thing together, and trying to make a run, because I think that's where the Warriors are at. Even though they're 5 games below 500, they don't have a first-round pick this year. They can't take if they wanted to, and I think they have no option. I also don't think that's in their DNA. I don't think that's in their DNA. When they have their guys out there, when Curry's healthy, they're going to give it 100%. And they're going to try and find a way to right the ship that has been this season so far. So a little over halfway done. They got another game on Tuesday against Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. Although who knows if he's going to play. He cut the Denver. The altitude flew today. Didn't play against the Nuggets. So we'll see if he's in there for Chase Center on Tuesday. I look forward to that. I'll have your Warriors live for you on Tuesday. Also a reminder, of course, to check us out live and local all day starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow for Championship Sunday for the San Francisco 49ers. Our guy back in studio, network coordinator Sterling Bennett, is going to be on the mic at 9 a.m. Get you ready for the 49ers as they try and make a trip and a bid to the Super Bowl by going through the Detroit Lions. So before we get you out of here, do want to make sure that, Sterling, we fit in our extending the three-point line.
Draymond comes and screens for Curry. Curry the catch, has an open 3. Good! It's good! 4.7 to go. The Warriors take a 1-point lead. 144-143.
Tim Roy on the call here on 95.7 The Game, as he is always. Unfortunately, the final points that the Warriors score tonight as they fall by a final score of 145-144. Big thank you to Sterling Bennett again, back in studio, holding this thing down. Big thank you to our producers cutting back in studio. Big thank you to all those of you listening to the broadcast tonight. However you listen, on the Odyssey app, on YouTube and Twitch, powered by First NorCal Credit Union, or a fashion old FM radio. We appreciate you tuning in, and unfortunately, the Warriors cannot get the W as they fall in double overtime. My name is Evan Giddings saying so long after one last time. The Warriors fall to the Lakers in double OT, 145-144. We hope you enjoy the rest of a wonderful Saturday evening. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts